The bar was loud, packed with off-duty soldiers blowing off steam after a brutal week of field exercises. Country music thumped through the speakers, neon lights flickered over crowded tables, and the smell of spilled beer mixed with barbecue smoke. No one paid attention when a woman in a black leather jacket slipped inside, small, quiet, alone, just another face in the chaos. She moved with calm purpose, ordered water from the bartender, and kept to herself. Her boots were dusty, her hair tied back, her eyes sharp but unreadable. No one there knew her name, and she preferred it that way. At a nearby booth, 3 loud army reservists had been drinking since sundown, their voices rising with every round. They bragged about their training, their imagined toughness, their combat mindset, while the woman at the bar sat silently, unfazed by the noise. One of the men, already past his limit, noticed her and nudged his friends. "Look at that, tiny thing thinks she's one of us." He laughed. Another smirked. "Bet she's here waiting for her boyfriend to pick her up." Their laughter grew louder. The bartender glanced at her nervously, knowing trouble might be brewing, but she just nodded, signaling she was fine. She'd dealt with far worse. When the reservist stumbled toward the bar for another round, one of them bumped into her deliberately. Her glass spilled, water splashing across her jacket. She didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't even look up. The men grinned at each other, sensing what they thought was weakness. A second man grabbed a pitcher of beer from their table and, without warning, dumped it over her head. The bar gasped as the liquid soaked her hair, jacket, and shirt, dripping onto the floor in a golden puddle. The woman still didn't move. She simply closed her eyes for a moment, as if counting to 3. The reservists roared with laughter, slapping the bar, calling her sweetheart and helpless. They had no idea who they were humiliating. No idea who they had just challenged. No idea the woman they drenched was the one person in the entire building who could end every one of them in under 5 seconds. No idea she was the Navy SEAL, codename Triton, who had been assigned to secretly evaluate their unit for Task Force Sentinel. And worst of all, no idea she was the commander in charge of the evaluation, their commander. The bartender whispered urgently, "Ma'am, please tell me you're not about to break every bone in their bodies." She finally looked up. Her expression was calm, too calm, the type of calm that came from 200 combat missions, hostage rescues, black site infiltration, and training that had broken men twice her size. She spoke softly, almost politely. "You gentlemen just made a mistake you can't drink your way out of." The reservists froze, confused. Then the door swung open behind them, and every soldier in the bar went silent. Because the man entering, the task force CO, looked straight at the drenched woman, snapped to attention, and addressed her with a voice that shook the room. "Commander, your unit is ready for inspection." The bar fell silent so quickly it felt unreal. No music, no chatter, no laughter, just the stunned breaths of soldiers who had no idea what they'd just witnessed. The reservists who had dumped beer on her looked at each other in disbelief. "Commander," the tiny woman they mocked. The one they drenched like some helpless stranger. She stood slowly, beer dripping from her jacket, boots squishing against the soaked floor. But her posture changed, shoulders straight, chin lifted, eyes sharp as a scalpel. It was the posture of someone who owned every inch of the room. The task force CO stepped beside her, fury tightening his jaw. "Who did this?" he demanded, his voice cracked like a whip. Several soldiers pointed instantly at the 3 reservists still frozen beside the bar. The CO's gaze turned cold, but the drenched woman touched his arm lightly. A silent message: "Stand down." This was hers to handle. She wiped a streak of beer from her cheek, then walked toward the men with quiet precision. Each step made them shrink back. There was no anger in her face, only authority. Disappointment, resolve, the kind that cuts deeper than rage. "Names," she said softly. The first reservist stammered, Ma'am, we didn't know." That wasn't the question. Her voice was calm, steady, deadly. They swallowed hard and gave their names, stumbling over syllables. She repeated each one, memorizing them. "You 3 are assigned to Task Force Sentinel's Joint Evaluation Week." The realization hit them like a punch to the chest. They had heard rumors. Sentinel was the toughest covert interoperability assessment in the country. Careers were made or crushed there. And their evaluator was standing right in front of them, dripping with the beer they'd dumped on her. She circled them slowly. "You think toughness is dumping drinks on strangers. You think masculinity is humiliation. You think leadership is noise and ego." Her boots stopped in front of the worst offender, the one who had poured the pitcher over her head. She leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. Men like you break down under pressure. I've watched it happen in combat. I've watched it happen in interrogation rooms. And I'm watching it happen right now. The man trembled. She straightened. Lucky for you, I believe in rebuilding soldiers. She turned sharply toward the CO. These three will report to Range Echo at 0500. They will run full confidence, agility, and urban entry drills until they remember what discipline looks like. The CO nodded immediately. The entire bar watched, stunned. She wasn't done. She stepped back toward the men. And one more thing. Tomorrow, when you stand in formation, you will not apologize to me. They blinked, confused. You will apologize to every woman who has worn this uniform honorably, the ones you insult with your behavior. No one breathed. She walked toward the exit. The CO opened the door for her. But before leaving, she paused, looked back at the three shaken reservists, and said quietly, "Gentlemen, next time you choose a target, make sure she isn't the one running your entire task force." The door closed behind her, and the bar exploded in whispered shock.